In this video, I'm going to take you through how to create a 2026 business plan so you can take 100 listings. That is a very exciting goal and a very exciting proposition that when I take you through what is required, you will see that this is absolutely possible. And just to simplify it, because I know many of you here, whoa, take 100 listings a year, that is a lot. How am I gonna do it? Well, in this video, I'm gonna break down the numbers required. You will know what you are supposed to do. And the truth is that 100 listings a year is only 2 listings a week. I say only because for any of you who is working full-time in real estate, regardless of how long you've been in the business, it is absolutely possible for you to do this if you know what you're supposed to do and you focus. Focus is critical. Now, I actually wrote this down. I believe that sometimes it's better to have no experience than actually have been in the business for a long time, because when that is the case, many times agents have to undo a lot of unproductive habits, and that is harder than just taking something new and going for it. So wherever you're at, you can do it, even if you have unproductive habits that you need to change. That is definitely possible. And then I wrote this down. Even if only half of these listings sell, which would be a low standard, if 50% of the listings sell at an average commission of $10,000, which is not unreasonable for most of the country right now, you will be making $500,000 in 2026. And then I wrote this question down. What would you be willing to do to achieve that goal? If you had asked me this question when I got into real estate, I would say, whatever you tell me to do, I'm ready to go to work for it. So let's get started. This video, just for clarity, is the numbers required. It's not a what to say and how to say it video. There are hundreds of videos on my channel on scripts and skills and handling objections and listing presentation. These are the numbers so you can have a clear vision of what you need to do. The first thing I wrote down is this. In setting goals and creating a plan for 2026, the first thing you want to write down is the total number of listings you're going to take. So we already said the goal is 100. So you want to get a pen and paper and write this down, because this business plan you're creating is something that you're going to be looking at every single day. I wrote that down right at the end, but I have to say it to you now. Why do I have to write it down? Because having goals in writing increases your chances of achieving the goal tremendously, dramatically, exponentially. So write down the number of listings you're going to take. Then write down the number of total closed transactions from listings taken, meaning how many listings you're going to sell next year. I went with the 50% example that I gave you because I figure, wow, I mean, you could only do better than that. Again, this is not a how-to video, but I teach agents to focus on listing properties and reducing prices. This is what makes a great listing agent, and that's what you're here for. You're not here to learn how to work with buyers, and if you are, you're on the wrong channel, and this is the wrong video for you. This is all about listings, and a 50% selling ratio is a very conservative percentage. So let's go with that, or higher. You set your own goal. Then write down your average sales price currently And based on that, your average commission check, because obviously the next thing you're going to write down is your gross commission income, and that is going to depend on your average sales price and your average commission. Then I wrote down total listing appointments. What is the number? Again, very conservatively, we're going to say 200 appointments set to take 100 listings. So that would be setting 4 appointments per week, because this is your annual business plan and your annual goals. But obviously, I'm not going to break it down for you into monthly and weekly and daily, but that is what you have to do. That's why I said 4 listing appointments set per week. Is that doable? 100% doable. Again, regardless of who you are and where you've been. Total number of listings taken, 100. Minimum conservative closing ratio. You're going to list 50% of the properties that you set an appointment with. And then number of listings sold, we already talked about that earlier. And then the last thing I wrote down in this business plan is total number of buyer sales. You can write down that number, but you're not going to work with buyers. You're going to refer buyers out. You're not going to be able to take 100 listings a year if you are working with buyers. So that would be one thing that could definitely get in the way. If you don't give up working with buyers, you're not going to be able to make this happen. You know why? Because taking 100 listings a year require full, complete, 100% focus. It's not going to be like, oh, I do a little bit of this, I do a little bit of that, I diddle daddle around. No. It's not going to happen that way. You're going to have to put all of your eggs in this basket to make it happen. So refer buyers out to a buyer's agent, a buyer specialist, because you're a listing specialist, and collect a referral fee. You could actually expect 50 buyer sales to come from the 100 listings you're going to take without you having to do anything. You just take 100 listings, you're going to get enough buyers inquiries and buyers calls and buyers from all over the place just from having your listings online, having your listings in the MLS, having signs in front of these properties. And you collect a referral fee, and 25-30%, if you find just one buyer's agent that you can give all your buyers leads to, you'll be able to negotiate an even higher referral fee. When I was selling real estate, I refer all buyers out, and the buyer's agent to one agent, as I was telling you, and we agreed on a 40% referral fee. She gave me a 40% referral fee because I was giving her so much business from just the listings that I had. So 25% would be minimum. So how much income that is? Whatever it is, extra, yay. We're not focused on it, but it's gonna come to you. Then the second part of creating this business plan is rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on the skills and traits required for you to take 100 listings a year. So I wrote a few things down, and I want you to get a pen and paper and write them down. Number 1, I want to ask you to rate yourself on your mental toughness. What is mental toughness? Is having the ability to be laser focused and having that unwavering desire and commitment to accomplishing what you set out yourself to do and taking action consistently regardless of what's going on around you. This is not easy, okay? It's having a strong mindset. It's not allowing anything to distract you. And this is something that I don't know that anybody would rate themselves at a 10. I certainly don't. I have a lot of work to do. on my mindset and mental toughness. I work on it every single day. It's my number one focus because we can get distracted so easily by all the negativity out there. And most of us, we come with a lot of baggage from when we were children and teenagers and how we were raised and whatever. So it's something that it is a work in progress, and it's a critical part of you being able to achieve such a big goal and stay consistent when things are not necessarily going the way that you want. So rate yourself on that. And then in a little bit, I'm going to tell you what to do with these ratings, okay? The next one is rating yourself on your communication skills. For you to take 100 listings a year, you're going to have to learn how to communicate effectively with people. It's not going to happen if you don't know how to have powerful, effective, influential conversations. So where would you rate yourself right now on that? It doesn't matter where you are, okay? As long as you're willing to do the work to improve yourself, you can make this happen. The next one I wrote down is rate yourself on overcoming objections. Another critical skill. When you're talking to people over the phone, in person, negotiating offers, you're going to get objections. So being able to overcome them is obviously very important. Next one is closing. Closing, asking for the appointment and asking for the signature. The next one I wrote down is on communicating with for sale by owners. I just wrote down for sale by owners. How would you rate yourself on your conversations? Or maybe you're not having any, so you could put a 0 on that. But that is something that's going to be a very important part of your achieving this goal. Why? Because who better for you to be speaking with than people who want to sell their house? All FSBOs do. The next one I wrote down is expired listings. Again, they wanted to sell their house up until yesterday. This listing just expired. They still want to sell. And you really need to, whether maybe you have some resistance to calling for sale by owners and expired listings, but these people want to sell. So when you want listings, you got to talk to people who want to sell. Next one is language patterns and skills that influence people. So communication skills, I mentioned that earlier, is more general. Now we're getting more into a lot of very specific skills and tools to communicate effectively. Again, this video is not a how-to, but there's so much information on my channel on everything that I'm talking to you about. The next one for you to rate yourself is on your market knowledge of your local market, and knowing your market stats and your market conditions. Next one, the listing presentation. You're going to be making a lot of listing presentations, so we got to perfect these skills. Next one is pricing property. Remember I said to you earlier, list and reduce, list and reduce, list and reduce. So pricing property is how your listings are going to sell. Pricing them correctly. If they're not well priced, they're not going to sell. So it's exciting to take 100 listings, but obviously we want to fulfill the commitment we're making to sellers, which is you're going to list with me so I can get this house sold for you. Pricing is where it's at. Next one, customer service. Now, the ultimate customer service is getting the property sold. But communication with your sellers on a regular basis is critically important. And the last one I wrote down is business systems. You are going to need some critically important business systems in place to be able to accomplish your goals. Now that you've rated yourself on all of these different items, The next step is to write down what are the changes required to fill the gap from where you are at to where you need to be to achieve these goals. So let's say you rate yourself at a 3 or 4, or maybe some of these items even a 0. What specifically do you need to change? And when you really think about this, you will know what you need to do to fill the gap. Obviously, there is some things that you need to improve dramatically, and some things you need some minor improvements or minor changes. Either way, clarity is power. You need to write down specifically how are you going to improve, let's say, your listing presentation. What are you going to do? Maybe if you have no idea what to write down, one way to start would be go on my channel, go on the playlists. There's a playlist for listing presentation. Start watching some videos. Download my script book. Look at the script. It's free. You can download it for free. The link is in the description of this video. That's a great place to start. So start moving things in that direction, because in the end, I wrote this down. For you to achieve your goal of taking 100 listings next year, having this business plan is the first step. The second one is execution. You need to go to work now, and you need to execute the numbers required. You need to get on the phone. You need to start talking to people. You need to have conversations with everyone, everywhere about real estate. That is your number one focus. That is how you take 100 or more listings a year. Not sitting and waiting. Now you gotta implement those numbers. If I'm gonna set 4 listing appointments per week, how many people do I have to talk to? However many necessary, whatever it takes, just you're gonna have to do it. So executing the numbers and improving on all of these skills on a daily basis. Those are the 2 things that you need to do. Everything else is a distraction. And you may think, well, I got other things to do in my business. It will be a distraction from what you're supposed to be doing. If you want to take 100 listings, it is going to require 100% focus. And when you think about all the other things that you have to do, they could be delegated. Somebody else could do it. This is the hard work that very few agents are willing to do. And it's the most profitable one. There is no agent ever that I've met, and I've met tens of thousands of agents and very productive agents that would say, oh, I don't want to be a listing agent. No, they all do. And they want to do it at a high level because they all know that's how you have control of your time and your finances. So figure out how to delegate everything else and put all of your time and effort into what I'm talking to you about here. So you listed the changes that you need to make. Don't make a list of 50, okay? Maximum 10. The next thing is you're going to track your numbers on a daily basis. And here's what you're going to track. The number of hours that you spend having conversations with people about buying or selling real estate. It's called prospecting for business. Conversations on the phone or in person. I don't care. Every day you track how many hours you spend. And then you're going to track how many conversations you're having with an adult about buying and selling real estate. I don't care how many numbers you dial. I don't care people hang up. How many conversations daily? And the goal, by the way, would be to have 10 conversations per hour. Oh, that's a lot. No, it's not at all. As long as you're not getting distracted. You're not doing research that doesn't matter. You're just Dialing the phone and talking, list and dial talk. Dial talk, I was gonna say list and reduce again. List and reduce, but dial talk. Don't go look up tax records. Don't go do a CMA between calls. Wasted time. It's not gonna help you. Just get phone numbers in front of you and start dialing. So 10 contacts per hour. The next one is, how many appointments are you setting per day? The goal is definitely a minimum of 1. You're gonna track how many appointments you're going on. Of the ones that you set, how many you go on. Remember, we set a goal of 200 appointments set, 100 listings taken, but we wanna make sure that we know where you're at in relationship to the goal. So how many you go on, how many you take. How many price reductions are you getting on a daily basis? How many of your listings sell and how many close? Because sometimes they fall apart, maybe they go back on the market, some may sell again, some may not. These are all critical numbers. I want you to think about this. You're a business person. You are an entrepreneur. I am sure you would agree with me that every successful business on the planet track everything they're doing. They know all of their numbers, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to determine what's going on. Where do I need to improve? What changes do I need to make? I asked you to rate yourself earlier and then write down the changes you're going to make. But the bottom line is, if this is the first time you create a business plan and you're going to start tracking numbers, this is a great place for you to start. But by tracking what you're doing, you're able to compare the actual numbers based on the goals that you set. And that's going to help you moving forward. Then I wrote this down. Look at your business plan, the one that you're going to create based on this video, every single day. Executing is simple, but it's not easy. And looking at your goals every day, looking at the plan, looking at your goals is the fuel that's going to get you to continue to take action when you're getting a lot of people hanging up on you, or people are not answering the phone. Yeah, this is the name of the business here. There's no way to get around it. But you need fuel to stay consistent. And looking at your plan and looking at your goals is that fuel you're going to need on a daily basis. The last thing I wrote down is, if you find yourself behind on your goals, you have the plan, you're tracking what you're doing. What if you find yourself behind? Do not lower your goals. Change the plan. Change your activities. Don't lower your goal if you're behind. You're just going to have to figure out, okay, because I'm tracking what I'm doing, what changes do I need to make in my daily activities to get on track to achieve my goal. And then the last thing I want to say to you is, this plan is not written in stone. I don't want you to lower your goals, but you can adjust the plan. You can adjust the activities. It's a flexible plan, as long as you're tracking your goals and you're looking at it on a daily basis. Make the changes required to make this happen. And I can tell you, the first year that you're able to take 100 listings a year, it will change your career forever. And there's absolutely no reason why that year won't be 2026 when you actually create the plan that I just shared with you. Thanks for watching this video. Put your comments and questions below, and I will see you on the next one.